Hello, students of Conversation 1. Here we are. This is the last lecture of the semester. We've already finished the content of the class, so this is just supposed to be a summary of the 11 questions that you're going to deal with on the exam. Now, before we continue, one of the things I need to mention is this Friday, you should finish your presentation and send it to me. You can use a cloud or Google Drive or something like that, or you can even link it to me and I can use my Google Drive to host your file and you can upload it to me because the file is probably going to be too big, even though it's only about 5 minutes long. That is due this Friday, and I need everybody to hand them in because I have to process them before the end of the semester. It has been fun to do these lectures like this, but as we all know, it has been limited in many ways for conversation purposes and for interaction. I've already been thinking ahead to next semester when you freshmen may unfortunately have to do something similar again. Who knows how well we're going to be able to deal with the coronavirus by September. So the plan for me is to move half of the classes onto a video call platform like Zoom or WebEx or something like that. Google has a new platform they're using. Everybody's developing this software. By September there's going to be a lot of options, but what I can promise you is if you take Conversation 2 or 3 with me next semester, that we will also be having live chat and live lectures as well as these. This works well for just explaining, about grammar and vocabulary and about the ideas and what to do in the textbook. That's fine. But for practice and interaction and for question and answers, it's pretty useless. So I think I have done some Zoom lectures with a few students this semester, and I just did another one the other day. There are some big advantages of that, and you can handle, once you get used to the platform, you can handle 20 students. I was concerned about that, but my brother uses it for his middle school classes, and we have a license at Chungnam, so we can have as many as 100, which wouldn't work, I think, but 20 students in a class would be fine. So next semester, you can look forward to being involved in a live lecture if you decide to take my class. Most of my classes will be like that, except for the ones that are really large or don't really require it. Maybe that we will have less interaction. Composition 1 doesn't necessarily need it, but I think having at least one Zoom lecture or WebEx or video lecture, live lecture every month or so just allows the students to respond and ask questions in real time, which is helpful because there have been some students that have fallen behind because they're not paying attention or because they feel like there isn't anything going on and they haven't noticed that the semester has been progressing faster than they thought. So congratulations though, all of you freshmen. I think both Conversation 1 classes, most of the students have done the homework and have followed the class and asked good questions and have emailed me and have followed the format. Some students are still not putting their student number, which is driving me crazy, but 90% of you are, which thank you so much for that because you have made my life much easier to manage by following the instructions carefully. So here we are. In 2 weeks, we are going to have an exam. So you have plenty of time to study. The best way to study for this type of exam and interview is not to memorize or to sit and read a book, but to be more active and to rehearse and practice. Okay? So there's going to be 3 questions on the exam. Everybody has the same first question. It's the self-introduction, which I've set to you at the beginning. Go back to the first lecture where I explained how to do that. I introduced myself. Basic information about yourself, essential information first, then talk about something else that fills in a little bit about yourself, your job or your status as a person, a student, what you do with your time, hobbies, family life, your background, where you came from, or something about your personality. Those are all options. You don't have to tell me about everything. You just have to give me a little bit of a picture of what you're like. Okay? Identify yourself. That's your self-introduction. And just like the other questions, it should be about 1.5 minutes long. Next, from the textbook, we had 10 chapters, and each topic was very closely related to the title and the content of each chapter. So the chapter has some examples of how to say things grammatically, example sentences, how to construct things. It gives you ideas and vocabulary, and I explained in my own way through the video lectures. So if you look at the content of the chapter and you took notes or you look back on some video lectures, you can hear examples and strategies of how to handle each topic. So I will very quickly just go over them all for you, because this is what happens in regular class, is when everybody's in class, I say, is everybody ready for the exam? And everybody says, yeah, and not very enthusiastically. But they always say, can you give me the list of topics again? And I say, don't you already have the list? We were both here. You all did your homework, but anyway, we go over it anyway. So this is what we do. Topic number 1 is self-introduction. Topic number 2 is to describe a job. And it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't have to be a job that you necessarily are going to have. It just has to be a job that you're interested in. So if you're interested in police officers, that might not be a good choice these days because of what's happening in America. I'm sure some of you have heard about that. But we need good police officers. It's important. Bad police officers are a huge problem. So you can describe what it's like to be a job, to do that job, and I would like you to say your opinion about it. Maybe you respect police officers, maybe you don't. Maybe you want to be one, right? Or maybe you think more people should be police officers, or maybe you think they don't get a high enough salary or their training isn't good, so then it should be changed. So choose a job, describe it, and then give it a perspective on it. If it's your dream job, then tell me why. And we did a little bit of analysis there. You look at the criteria. What's important to you? Safety, location, salary, co-workers, satisfaction, benefits. You tell me why you are interested in this job or why it's good or bad, okay? So that's describe a job. Now, topic number 3, choose to be a traveler or a tourist. We talked about this in the lecture too. Travelers tend to go to places and behave in a different way and do things differently. Usually they're more independent and they don't have a plan. They like to, they like to interact with local culture. They normally spend less money and they stay in a different type of accommodation, probably not as comfortable, right? And they use different types of transportation. So you have to decide. You have to pick one. I know you might like both, but you have to pick one and explain why you would like. You identify more as a traveler, or you're more interested in being a traveler, or more interested in being a tourist. The 4th topic is also a choice sort of situation. Take 2 things, but in this case, you have to talk about both of them. In the traveler versus tourist question, I would like you to choose one and tell me why. In this one, you have to compare the 2 cities, and again, you sort of have to make a decision which city you prefer and why what those reasons are. So the first 3 topics, describe a job, traveler versus tourist, compare 2 cities. You just have to look at some criteria and decide which ones are important to you, and then explain to me what your choice is. Okay? 5th, these ones were really well done. This homework question was really well done. The one about wildlife, lots of people chose really interesting animals. Don't get too stuck in describing what the animal looks like. I know in the textbook they talk a lot about that, but you can talk about the animal's habitat, you can talk about what their appearance is, you can talk about the interaction with humans, you can talk about the symbolism of them, and you can talk about any experience you have with them, or why you find them so attractive, or why, whatever. Maybe they're dangerous. Maybe they're important because They're one of those key animals in the ecosystem, like the wolves in Yellowstone Park. Okay, chapter 6, not chapter 6, chapter 5, but topic number 6 was sports, but some people don't really care about sports, so everybody talked about other things, sports-related things. You can talk about sports business, or you can talk about being a spectator, you can talk about being a player, or you can be a fan, or you can talk about how you think sports are dangerous, unnecessary, waste of money. You can have any perspective on it as you want, as long as sports related. One student, I recall this one specifically, one student decided to talk about esports and their favorite esports player. I don't think, we still don't call them athletes really, because they're not really athletic. They're intelligent and they're good at the game. But anyway, it's called esports. I believe it was her favorite player is Faker, who also happens to be my favorite esports player. So that's okay too, as long as it's sports related. Even in Korea, you consider that a sport too. Playing computer games is a sport. So if you feel like talking about that, that's up to you as well. Topic number 7 is about luck and superstition. So you just have to talk about a situation where you felt lucky, or an object or a thing that you keep, a behavior that you do that you think gives you good luck, or on the other hand is unlucky. You can talk about a traditional thing, or you can talk about a personal thing. It's up to you. Number 8 was about your favorite things, especially things that you collect. Collections means that you gather things and you have many of them, different types and sizes, and you're interested. And so that's a pretty easy topic for you to do. Just focus on the description, and then explain why it's interesting to you and why you are interested in growing this collection. Or if it's something else, again, I said if it's a favorite thing, it shouldn't really be something that disappears like food that you eat. It has to be something that you can keep. So it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't necessarily have to be a collection. Like it can just be your bicycle. But it has to be something that's your favorite, and it has to be sort of a thing that you keep. We did talk about hoarding, which is people that keep everything. Oh, I want to know about your favorite things that you keep. And the collections fit into that well. Number 9 was a memorable experience. This is also a quite easy question to handle. You just have to think about something that happened to you that made you really happy. You remember that for a particular reason. I said already, try not to choose something that's particularly emotionally stressful for you. Nothing tragic or really sad that you haven't gotten over yet, because that'll interfere with your ability to answer the question in the interview. So maybe even something that made you angry would be better than something that made you sad, probably. But think about an experience that you can remember and you can talk about in detail, and you can specifically explain, and you should tell me why you remember it. What is it that impressed that memory, that allowed you to remember that so clearly? What was it? Was it the feelings? Was there a certain consequence to that? Something later happened because of that, and you made that connection in your mind? That's what I want to know. Describe the experience and tell me why you remember it so well. Okay, excuse me, this wireless thing's giving me trouble. Number 10, topic number 10 is loving something too much. Too much of a good thing. You can go as far as talking about an addiction or obsession, but you can just talk about something that you really, really like, and sometimes you want it a lot. Common things, obviously, are chocolate and coffee. Sweet things, salty things, any kind of food, comfort food. Koreans love tteokbokki and other things like that. Maybe in Canada we lean more towards donuts or cake or muffins or ice cream. But whatever it is, it's something that you really want to do. Sometimes it could be going, some people just really, really want to get away from the city and they need to go camping or something like that, get out into the countryside. I'm the type of person who really, really needs to go outside at least a little bit a day. Otherwise, I get a little bit crazy being stuck in my office. So coronavirus was tough for me to handle, but I usually just went outside either with my kids or by myself and escaped to a nearby mountain or just to the forest to walk around. People can be really obsessed with exercise, computer games, smartphones. Choose whatever you want. It doesn't have to be yourself. You can talk about someone else. But be specific about the thing. Don't just talk about addictions in general. Choose a particular thing that a person is really obsessed with, really into too much. Okay. And the last chapter, chapter 10, which was your final assignment, was about giving back. And the chapter is about all sorts of ways of helping other people, but in particular, I wanted to emphasize, as I wrote in the lecture summary, the last one, and I'm happy to say all the lecture summaries are done. Everything's done on the website. So this really is the last thing. This video lecture is the last thing. We're completely caught up until the exam. So look over everything that I've given you this semester and prepare your 11 questions and you'll be good to go. The last assignment was on giving back, and just remember that giving back means giving something of your ability or your time. It's something that you make an effort, right? You can just give people money and make the problem, try and make the problem go away. But we're kind of talking about giving back sort of in this sense means showing people that you care. Of course, everybody loves getting money, whether it's on your birthday or just people handing it to you, but it's not as meaningful as somebody making something for you or doing something for you or helping you. You feel differently when somebody actually gives of themselves to you. So if they help you, if you're sick and somebody feeds you and helps you walk and changes your clothes for you and cleans your house, does that feel like they're doing more for you than if they just gave you $50 every day to help take care of you? Of course it does. The person's actually there and you can feel that they care about you. So that's sort of the idea behind the giving back thing. Is it's about volunteering, not about donations. So you have to do something for somebody else, especially somebody who is suffering mentally, physically, financially, socially. They have family problems. They're struggling with their education. There's disaster relief, whatever. Animals. I gave you a whole bunch of lists. I give you a whole bunch of examples in a list in that lecture. So just choose one of those things. If you've done one of those things already, you can talk about that. But many of you haven't had a chance yet because you're freshmen. But you should do it, and you should think about what you could do. And that's part of the reason that question is important, and it's the last one of the semester. So that closes the book on the semester. I think I've said all I wanted to say today, and all I can say is please don't stay up all night the day before the exam. The exam is June 16th, Tuesday, June 16th. You are my last two exams, and it starts at 9:30 and it ends at 2:30. I'll be in my office the whole time. It's going to be a bit of a marathon for me, so we're all going to have to do our best that day, and that'll be the end of the semester for me, my last exam. And if it's yours too, then you'll be able to enjoy your summer after that. So thank you very much for following through the series of lectures this semester, and for submitting your assignments and doing a good job of your work. I really look forward to finally meeting you briefly in the exam. And like I said, if we're like this, if we're in this situation next semester, I look forward to doing some interaction through a video platform in the fall. So if not, then I'll see you in the classroom. Thank you for taking Conversation 1. See you in the exam. Have a good day.